Hi, my name is Michel Bluteau from RSA, and what I will show you over the next few minutes is an application that was built on top of ServiceNow. And while this is not the certified RSA application that you can find in the ServiceNow application store, it does share many of the same elements, the same foundation, for example, the workflow for which we're looking at the flow right now. And the idea here is that a user can go to ServiceNow, to an application running on ServiceNow, and request some pieces of access, or go through some approval or anything that would eventually be added to the shopping cart, the ServiceNow shopping cart, as a catalog item, and then it will be submitted to RSA using web service calls behind the scene. So this is the step here. Step one, the user goes into one of the forms and requests some access. And then once all the approvals in ServiceNow are taken care of, this step does not actually appear here, but it would be here in between those two steps, step one and step two. So once all the ServiceNow approvals are obtained, then ServiceNow will call the web service interface in RSA and will submit a change request. We'll create a change request in RSA, and then it will track the status. So the workflow in ServiceNow will be able to call the web services interface and be able to track the request as it makes as it's making progress on the RSA side, and eventually as it is completed. So the integration basically takes advantage of the comprehensive list of web service calls that are available on the RSA side for various tasks or various use cases that we're going to briefly overview. And the most important one is create change requests. So this is basically what's supporting many of our use cases. For example, terminating a user, creating an account, add a user to a group. So we will basically review some of those as part of the application. So let's go to the application now. So what I will do is I will use Helsinki, the latest version of ServiceNow, and I would connect to Service Portal as a regular user. Service Portal is the new portal that replaces employee self-service that was available in previous versions of ServiceNow. So I'm going to log in as Abel. And what I will see here is basically the demo Service Portal content that's available from ServiceNow. Plus, I added some RSA specific items here. It's just basically a container, so you could use any type of customer service portal or customized user experience and inject those catalog items anywhere you want. And using catalog items actually makes it possible to publish the forms, the apps, anywhere you want within the ServiceNow, and take full advantage of all the capabilities, including the shopping cart, including process tracking, or allowing developers to rearrange and change the presentation of these different examples. So I have 4 examples here on the welcome page, the main page. The access request dashboard actually takes you to a form with more examples. So really, there are 3 examples here: mover, new hire, urgent termination, and these are all linked to the web service calls that are available. For example, urgent termination, I could select a specific user here to terminate, and then I can decide what to do, with the mapped accounts, the shared accounts. I probably just want to reset the password, not, disable or delete them. And what I want to do with the entitlements, I want to remove all entitlements, provide a business justification, and if there was like an incident in ServiceNow that was associated with this urgent termination request, maybe it's part of an incident response process, I could also point to that incident here. So this is one example, but if I go back to the home, then we could look at hiring a new employee or moving an existing employee to a new manager in a new department. So these are all different types of examples that you can reuse and rearrange. And I'll jump quickly to the access request dashboard. This is basically a bucket where I put additional examples here, like create an account, register a user. So these are all calling the web service behind the scenes. So here, for example, I can select a user and pick an application from the list here and request that a new account will be created. This will use the account template to automatically generate a unique name on the RSA side. And then I can also show you a few more examples. So if I go back to my dashboard here, I have some administration tasks. For example, I can use this specific example to start a collector. So I could decide I want to start an account collector. And then I can pick the account collector I want to start. That's an example of a process here that could be also orchestrated, from the ServiceNow platform, or call manually like I showed you in the form. I have one here that's kind of interesting. Sometimes customers will decide they want to have approvals on the ServiceNow side. Sometimes they will decide they want to have them on the RSA side, or maybe a combination of both. This is basically allowing users to retrieve their approval tasks from RSA, and it will offer a simple interface to be able to deal with the approval task. I can see that there's one that's pending. It's a supervisor approval task, and I can see the date it's due, October 26th. If I click on it, it's going to actually retrieve more details. And I could include as much information as I want in the drop-down menu here, or rearrange the information in a different way. Now, what I'm doing is I'm basically retrieving the request. I can see that there are 2 request items associated with this request. One of them is a create account for user Kim Jones. And the second request is to add the user to a specific application role, which is an SAP application role. Then I could decide I want to approve or reject that request, and that would basically send a change request to RSA to update RSA with the approval status. And one other example I want to show you quickly is a simple review. So here, this one is a little bit experimental because it's using calls that are not yet published as official web service calls. But typically, for access reviews, the user would probably just go to the RSA interface, because the access review interface includes many more controls, and it provides lots of options, and also maybe some assistance for the user. So that's a rich interface that you may or may not want to externalize. But assuming that you want to externalize a simpler version of it, this is what this form is all about here. So I can select a reviewer. This user can select himself. And once I select the reviewer, then what it's going to do, it's going to retrieve any any review items that are available for the user. So I can see that I have 3 review items. For example, I can pick the second one here, and I can see that this is for Kim Jones again. And Kim Jones is a member of a role called Report Administrator. And I have the option to either maintain or revoke. And this is context sensitive, so if I select another one that's already, at the maintain state, I won't see the maintain option, because, that wouldn't be a change actually. So let's pick one that's not yet approved, and then I can, decide I want to maintain this one, submit, and this is basically being submitted as a change request. The user can track the request here by, selecting, these options here. So all requests can be tracked by the user. This is just a default feature of ServiceNow that I inherit automatically in the application, because it is using catalog items to support all these different use cases. Now, what's interesting is if I go back to my review here, as you can see, before I refresh it, there's only one item that's maintained. I'm going to just cancel on that. And if I go back to my review, I'm going to see that it's been updated. So a second button has been put in green, which means I did update the main review or certification campaign in RSA and not some duplicate campaign that exists in ServiceNow, which is very important. So users could decide to perform some simple review actions using a simpler app here. But if they need more control, if they need, for example, to be able to take advantage of delegation or to set a time in the future, which could also be added to the simple form, that we have to decide where to draw the line. If they need additional options, for example, send an email or some bulk actions, then they could always go back to the form. But the idea here is that for simple items, they could simply use this app here that does not involve too many options, but that would allow them to quickly get done with simple tasks or trivial access review tasks. One last thing, I won't go through all those different use cases, but this application is available as a tutorial, as a list of examples that ServiceNow developers can use. One thing that's interesting is if I turn on mobile support, even if I don't create forms that are specific to mobile, I can just reuse the desktop forms. All of these will be available on a mobile device. So this is an example of the same application here. I did nothing specific to adapt it to the mobile interface, but that is probably something that you would do. But you can see, even without any effort, the application is available and can be used on a mobile device. And the display, even if I did not invest a lot of effort in building those specific forms, the display is kind of acceptable. But that's another benefit of being able to use a real ServiceNow application. You can also take advantage of the ServiceNow mobile app. You don't need to deploy another application on mobile devices, or you could also just use a plain browser. The experience is actually very similar between the browser and the ServiceNow mobile application. So that's it for this quick video. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me through the RSA community or otherwise. Again, my name is Michel Bluteau from RSA, and thank you for watching this video.